All right, we're here at Content Madness. This is podcast number 8. Sean?
We got a good friend and realtor, investor, real estate extraordinaire, Will Holder here today. Will, thanks for coming, man, and being on the podcast and being part of the Content Madness Day that we've been here since 8 a.m. doing podcasts. People have just been rolling through nonstop. We've been having a lot of fun. So
you guys burned out?
You know what?
I'm doing pretty good.
It feels like it's just a continuous one podcast, and we haven't even been able to really breathe because it's one in, one out. And it's just we keep going. So It's been fun.
Good. Hopefully you're not too fried for this one.
No.
Am I the last one for the day?
No, we have one more.
Okay.
One or two more. One more. Yeah. So you're close, but we love. Thanks for coming, and want to get into just like some background stuff on you, like where you're from, then how you got into real estate, because I feel like everyone has a really good story about like no one's studying real estate or anything like that. Someone always has some funny story to how they got in. So I want to kick off with that.
Yeah, sure. So William Holder Realty Team. Thank you guys for doing this, by the way. This is great. And I moved to Delaware County, Pennsylvania, which is one county over from here, in 2002. I was born and raised in the Caribbean, Trinidad to be specific, and moved to Delaware County 2002, finished high school, and had a few jobs, just always looking for the next best thing, and like most people, young people at least, like you're just trying to figure out, how am I ever going to make enough money to live? And
especially today's day and age. I mean,
it's wild. Crazy. I mean, it's crazy, and we can get into that for sure. But I had a banking job. I was doing okay. It was a comfortable job, but there was really never any upside for me. I liked the job, and I really liked my boss, but my only position up was his. He wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. So it was kind of like I had to look for things. And I always tried to find side jobs. And around 2010, I grew up in the Caribbean. My mom, we had a house in the Caribbean that my granddad built. And he actually left for me because I was the first grandson. But I was too young to inherit it at the time. So my mom was the caretaker of it. And when we left, they turned it into 4 units, made an apartment building essentially. And she mentioned that it needed a new roof. And I thought, oh, well, you need help financially with that. She said, no, it pays for itself. The property takes care of itself. And, it had never really clicked in my head, and, still fairly young at this point. So I started to think about it. And like most people, you hear about real estate investing and you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and, you jump on Bigger Pockets, and you just start diving into all of the content, and fell in love with that idea. I'm like, man, I'm going to be a real estate mogul. I'm going to buy all these properties, and quickly found out in order to buy properties, you need money, which I did not have from my banking job. So got a real estate license. I'm like, hey, I'm going to invest in real estate. Might as well get my real estate license, and started selling real estate instead of buying real estate. Friends were like, hey, you got your license? Like, we're looking for a house. And a lot of my friends at the time were buying their first homes. I just bought my first home and loved the process, and decided, hey, I'm going to get a real estate license. A couple of years of doing that part-time at my full-time job, and just decided this is what I want to do. Like, it's not, no offense to my banking job, but there's no cap on what I can make in real estate, and I'm a workaholic by nature. So if you tell me I can work as much as I want to and make as much as I want to, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's around 2015. I quit my job and just went cold turkey and said, I'm going to do real estate full time, and it's kind of how I got into it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's great.
I feel like that's the hardest part, like going. Like, hey,
started.
You're comfortable. You have money coming in. You know it's going to come in that next paycheck. You've been used to that. Yep. Now you got to go cold turkey. That was the craziest point for me. Doing that, and I think that defers a lot of people out of the industry or industries like that. It's tough. It's very difficult to give up.
it's scary. You know, like my wedding was planned for 2016. So like, you know, I got a house, I got a mortgage, I have a wedding coming up. My wife's one of 6 and 5 are girls, so her parents are not paying for a wedding. You know, like it was on me. So, you know, and as modest as we were trying to keep it, you know, the minute you say weddings, the price goes up 3 times. So it just, my wife's like, are you sure? You know, I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this. And it was kind of like putting myself in a corner, like, hey, man, back's against the wall. Like, what are you going to do here? You know, there's nothing else. You're going to lose your house and not be able to afford your wedding, or are you going to make it? And I respond pretty well to that. So luckily, it forced me to work my butt off for a year straight of just everything. You know, like I listened to every podcast and watched every video and read every book I could find and tried everything. You know, like door knocking, geographic farming, cold calling, work in my sphere, online leads. I mean, if there was something agents were doing successfully that I heard about, I'm like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. Just making unlimited contacts daily. And by the end of my first year, I was averaging, 3 or 4 sales per month, which quickly excited me because, you put in the work and it's nice to see the results. And I was able to afford my wedding, so that's good.
That's what you're hoping for, at least to be able to keep it going. You know, even doing a deal a month is a lot, and sometimes in depending on real estate and where your market is and everything. So I mean, and I definitely see that in your work and working with you and talking with you, and I see that hunger and like that strive and you doing all types of. I feel like you have so many funnels and ways to go about it, and I feel like you've seen it kind of evolve already, and that's what I've taken away.
Yeah, that's I'm not gonna lie. Even today, and I tell this to our new agents on our team. Even today, I still am like, man, this is scary, because I don't have I have to get up and go to work every day. There's no PTO. There's no disability. I played basketball last summer and rolled my ankle and was limping around during showings. There's no stopping. This is my business.
No injured reserve list or anything.
No, yeah. I joke now. I'm like, I don't jump for rebounds anymore. I'm just, a post up 3 guy, and miss most of them. But I'm understanding how to build a business, but it's still just as scary. Just like day one when I had no income coming in. This is, year 9, and I still have to worry about paying, our employees, making sure the lights stay on, way bigger problems, same drive. You still got to get up and go to work, right? And 6 months in, I'm doing all of this work early on, and it's not really getting to where I want it to be. I'm like, man, maybe I need to get a second job, do something else to make up the income. And my wife, and she's a teacher, no business sense whatsoever, no offense to her, she knows, but she told me, she was like, if you do something else, you're not going to focus on this. And she was right. I mean, if you give yourself an out, you're going to leave. And I say that to my agents that want to go full-time or are starting full-time. I'm like, don't give yourself an out. It's like, you got to do it or do something else. There's way easier ways to make money. Real estate's not easy. Everyone thinks it's selling sunset, and it's not. It's a sales job. You're grinding, and you're dealing with hundreds of different personalities, and everyone involved has to help this thing get to the table, because if one person screws up, the whole thing gets blown up, and all that work you put in to get that lead and qualify that person and get them into a house and get it inspected. You can get 90% of the way, and the day before closing, the buyer doesn't show up, or the seller passes away, and it's those things happen. Hundreds of stories of those things happening. So it's not for everyone, and it's a really tough job. Like most jobs are tough, but I love the aspect of if I put everything into it, I can be successful. Yeah. So.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be curious to hear a little bit about, so like from when you first took that leap and you started to today. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Sure. Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to invest in real estate. Just happened to fall in love in selling real estate. And, it's great to see someone excited about buying a home. You're essentially helping someone, for most people, buy their most valuable asset, especially if it's their first home. Like a lot of people, when you're downsizing, maybe, your 401k, significant things like that. But for the majority of people we work with, which are first time and people moving up, you're helping them buy what's their most valuable asset. You're in that financial service category. And it's really exciting to see that happen. Like when, you go through an entire transaction and your buyer's super happy and you coach them and you keep them along the way and you get them to a successful closing, or your seller, you get them way more than they expected for their home, and they give you that great review, and you become almost great friends. A lot of my close friends now are people I sold houses to 7 years ago that we just started hanging out because we respected each other throughout the transaction. And you build, you really get to know each other doing the real estate transaction. Like you're knowing everything about that person, personal, financial, stressors. Like you share a lot, and I love that, that relationship building. So from day one, I kind of learned, like, you have to enjoy these relationships, and you have to grow them, and you can't be transactional. Like a lot of agents in our industry are like, all right, I'm done with that one, on to the next one. And for me, I'm building lifetime clients. And like we'll kind of get into that, but I'm building lifelong relationships that are super valuable but super important to me, and they can lead in a bunch of different directions. Like a lot of the agents on my team now are past clients. A lot of the people I invest with now are past clients. Like a lot of the people I go to dinner now are past clients. They're my friends. They become as close to me as some of my family members. You if you're willing to build a business around that model, you can sustain in our industry regardless of what's going on, right? And from day one, that's been the mentality is, I'm going to get all of these leads, which come from a bunch of different places. But my goal is to make them a rock star client of mine. Like I want to super impress them, over deliver, and continue to deliver after the fact, and show them that I'm invested in them, so that when someone around them brings up real estate, it's like, call Will, like call my guy Will. Will's my real estate guy. Call him. And that's where my business is at now. My personal business is, it's all sphere related, right? All of the people I'm working with are from my sphere, my past clients, or referred to me by them. And my new agents, I'm showing them, this is where you want to get to, because these people trust you. They already know you're going to do a great job. They know you're not going to mess up. They know you're not going to lead them astray. So, but you have to earn that. It doesn't start day one. And a lot of brokerages, when you come in, they're like, call your sphere. Well, your sphere doesn't know you as the real estate guy. They know you as like Will the banker, or, whatever industry you were in before. You're not going to get that respect. You have to earn that respect from your sphere. You'll quicker get that respect from an internet lead or someone that doesn't know you because they didn't know who you were before. And you use that person, you use that relationship to prove to your actual sphere that you're this guy now. You're this guy or gal that's selling real estate that really, truly believes in what they're doing, and they're becoming successful. So year one and year two, 2016, 2017, I had pretty solid years, like 36 and 40 sales, and was doing really well. I mean, I never thought, I thought in banking at one point, I thought, maybe I'll make six figures by the time I retire, and by like year two in real estate, that was happening. I'm like, oh man, I actually can make a lot of money doing this. Like, I never thought I would hit this financial goal. And immediately my mind went back to, all right, you got money, let's go invest in real estate, right? So I bought two projects that were like the biggest mistakes of my life, right? In terms of just epic failures, right? And one of them I'm still living into this day, So I bought a house in Swarthmore, and it was a massive project. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I, talked to some contractors. I made all the mistakes. I hired the cheapest one first. So they ripped me off. They had no idea what they were doing. They had no assets. They disappeared. Took a massive hit on that. Hired a second contractor. They knocked the house down, which they were supposed to, and then filed bankruptcy. So I took a massive hit on that. Hired an attorney to go after them. He was in the process of being disbarred. So, and didn't tell me, took my money. So finally, contractor number 3, which was one of the original bids I got, which was the most expensive bid. I worked something out with him to help me finish this project, and didn't get done till February of 2020. What happened in March of 2020? COVID. Right. So I just thought I was just about to get out of this thing that basically took all of my profit for 3 years and wrecked me financially, emotionally, and then COVID happened, and I'm like, oh my God, what? Maybe I should go back to my banking job, maybe I'm just terrible at this, or I should just stick to selling real estate and forget investing. Right. And along the way as well, I picked up a triplex in the city near Temple that was a rebuild, and that took 2 years of my life as well, and similar contractors were involved. Got done with them, moved into the one. I go off this mindset that I learned through this I don't know if you guys heard this guy, Jocko Willink. He's an ex-Navy Marine, and he's an extreme ownership guy, and he's just you just kind of own it. You messed up, this was on you. You wrote those checks. This is how business works. I can't do anything to those people. They did what they had to do. They have to live with it. Yeah. You got to live with what you did, and that's kind of what got me to okay, what can I take from this? Well, I know what not to do now, which is everything I did, right? So just don't do that and you'll be fine, And I took those lessons and said, all right, let's start over. Let's start doing this, but let's start doing it the opposite of what I did, I started way smaller, I moved into the house in Swarthmore, which turns out to be a win because at the time when I was going to sell it, I would have broken even. Now I've gained significant equity in the last 4 years because of COVID, 3-4 years. So I'm happy. I'm going to stay there for the rest of my life probably. But I took all those mistakes and I said, all right, let's start over with this investing. The other thing that happened great was throughout those 3 years, because I had to make all of this money back, I was building my real estate business like a machine. Yeah, the money was coming in and going out because I was trying to stay afloat, but I got to the point where I was selling 70 houses a year by myself. I had one assistant I hired in 2018, and they helped me go from 45 to 70 sales and then 70 sales the next year, and I capped again. I physically can't do anymore. There's only so many hours in the day, right? And you can time block, you can practice all of these things they tell you to practice, but you're only one person. And even with an assistant, it's only so far that'll take you. End of 2020, and with COVID, people were like, well, you can't sell real estate in Pennsylvania. I'm like, oh my God. Luckily, I was licensed in Delaware, and Delaware seems to be a lot more lax on their rules. So I was driving south every day, selling houses in Delaware. Because again, you got to own it, right? Yeah. This is what you chose to do. It's no one else's fault. You got to figure it out. So end of 2020, business is built up, but really not growing anymore. And I physically don't have any more time. Just had my first daughter, and I'm thinking, what do I do? Didn't have the idea of doing a team in my head. I've heard of teams, but I was afraid. You're afraid when you have a business to hand off any of it because it's your name.
You can end like that when someone does something silly or they didn't even realize, made a mistake, and now it's on you, reflection of you. That's hard to...
Yeah, and I think it happens in every business owner's career. You think all right, I need to get a manager now. I need to do this and so I can grow. But I've never done that before. I didn't come from that world. I didn't have anyone to mentor me or show me the right way. So I just, like anything, kind of had to learn backwards, and fall into it. And luckily at the time, I had a couple past clients, Kim and Kirk, who were great clients, awesome people, and they're like, hey, we're thinking about getting a real estate license. Can we join your team? I didn't even have a team at the time. I had an assistant. It was me, and I'm like, sure, let's go, So it was them two, and then 2 others within the next 6 months, and since then, we're up to 14 agents now. Our goal this year is to do $100 million in transactions, which is kind of doubling what we did last year. But I think we have the people in place to do it. We have 4 full-time people: a listing coordinator, 2 transaction coordinators, a bookkeeper, and a part-time marketing person that does our social media stuff. And the team is just getting going. From the beginning, I liked the idea of new agents. For a lot of the reasons I've kind of touched on is that I think people in this industry some of them are a little jaded. They've been doing it for so long and it never popped, and they've bounced around, and they've kind of gotten this almost negativity when it comes to their business. And throughout all the stuff that went wrong for me, I never got that. I was still positive about it, and I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna work with agents, I don't want that. I don't want to have to convince them that this is a good job. I want to show them from the beginning that it could be a good job and let them grow into that mentality. And everyone that's joined my team, for the most part, are brand new agents, and just kind of built them up. And I think now we're ready to really pop, and I have some agents that are going to do $10 million by themselves this year. That's where we're at now. The team, I'm now partnered with my brokers, so I'm helping grow Remax Classic. We just started a title company in-house at our brokerage. And, I want to, just like with my clients, I want to create the life cycle for a client. So if you're buying a house, if you're investing in real estate, if you want to get insurance, if you need title insurance, if you need property management, we're trying to have that circle available for our clients. And over the next 5 years, I see me kind of adding all of those things to what we currently have. And in the interim, I've actually started investing correctly, and
that helps, right?
Yeah, knowing what not to do really, really helps. I think I paid for college education and failures, and it's the way I look at it. Was I could have went to college for this, or I could have just taken bruises, and I did. And now heavily invest in real estate. That's growing exponentially, and that was always the dream, to have passive income, to give and eventually became to give my kids an easier route, right? Now that I know how to do it, it's coming together, and it makes everything else much easier when things are working right, So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that was a great response.
Yeah, that was cool. A lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
my goodness.
Definitely.
That was cool. I love how I'm studying the Tom Brady's of the world and the Kobe's of the world. It's Tom Brady's always had his back against the wall. He's being pushed no matter what. He got the starting job. Well, they brought in another guy.
Yeah.
All throughout college, all throughout the pro. So you making, you call mistakes or being challenged, it seems like it's only pushed you even harder and made you win even bigger and learn more things and have to build your business even bigger because you had to. And I think, although you might look back and say, shoot, that was the worst decisions I made, maybe it was the best, in the long run. Maybe it really built what you have. Maybe you wouldn't have what you have now if you didn't go through those struggles,
Yeah. I'm not I'm not necessarily a things happen for a reason kind of guy. I mean, those things happen because I did them.
Sure.
But if you point that energy in the correct direction, I think it can take you a lot of places. If you sit back and you let it devour you, I could have easily just folded up shop and went the other way. And that wouldn't have been a pretty sight. So,
It's easier said than done, especially in this type of business where you can get eaten up, you can get eaten alive very quickly.
Yeah.
And especially if you have kids, family, mortgage, all this stuff coming up. I mean, it can get stressful real quick.
Yeah, I think I hate to say it, but I think that's part of the game, right? I think real estate has become this let's get as many people licensed as possible because there's an industry in that. There's money to be made there. Let's sign them up to these brokerages, promise them the dream, and then let 90% fail in 3 years. And that kills me to talk about because, like, I couldn't imagine if I was part of that 90% how I'd be feeling today. So when I sit with agents, I'm like, listen, this is difficult. Like, if you don't want to do this, don't do this. There's easier ways to make probably less money, but more stable money. I'm going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but my goal is to put enough into you that you're going to be successful. I expect you to try hard, and I don't want you to fail. Like, I'm not spending my time weekly training you and coaching you and all these meetings and, 8 p.m. at night on the phone with you to diffuse the situation because I want you to leave in 3 years. That makes nothing for me. Like, that means nothing. That would be a huge disappointment for me. I want you to succeed. So if you really want this, come on board. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Believe me, we probably could be 25 agents right now. Half of them didn't come, and I'm fine with that. Like, don't set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
I have no interest in getting people licensed to quit. If you really, really, really want to make this your full-time job and do what I do, which is actually invest in your business and invest in yourself, then I'm the right fit for you.
That's awesome. I feel like your agents, I definitely see what you're practicing what you preach, and like the agents I've worked with you and your team, and seeing them grow, and watching just your team grow, and generally them growing themselves. You're speaking, you're preaching what you're saying,
Yeah.
and it and I do see that, like, that side of the real estate where, like, someone just gets in, it's a big team or something, and they're just thrown to the wolves, and they're like, oh yeah, go make phone calls or this and that, and they're clueless. It is sad because there's literally not enough guidance, and it's a very difficult business to get into to begin with, and you need to have some sort of backbone and strive to go get it. I hear you.
I think the team model is the future of real estate. I think, you're almost socializing the costs of growing a business, right? So all of the money that comes off of the transactions that go back to our team, we've invested in more employees, transaction coordinators, more marketing. We've grown it so that we can eventually become profitable, but we're making the agents know that I'm not there to strip them down. Like, they're getting a really, really, really good split. They are, I'm putting a ton of time into them. I want to see their businesses grow. And if that means growing and staying in the team, awesome. If that means growing and starting a team within our brokerage, great. Like,
cool.
I will support you either way, but don't just do this to quit on me in 2 or 3 years, right? Because, I'm having one-on-ones with you every week. We're not doing this because I want you to quit. And it's an easy job to quit because it's, it costs money to maintain your license. And if you're not doing anything with it, then what's the point?
I agree. NAR is the news that just came out, I think it was last Friday, right, or something like that, about this lawsuit and the settlement and how commissions are going to be changed and this whole, there's so much false information out there, clickbait, everyone has an opinion. I'm curious to see what you're telling your team and your company and how you're going about it, knowing what you know currently. Obviously, we know things could change and we haven't got any guidance really, but how you're going about it, what your feelings are on it, and is it going to change the industry like some people are saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to go back a bit, like, a lot of people got into real estate during COVID because it was easy, right? Anyone could buy a house when the rates are 3%, right? It's
literally
super affordable to buy a house when the rates are 3%. So if you had a pulse, you could sell real estate. Not to demean what we are, but it was very easy to find and transact. Some people got turned off by it, but a lot of people saw how much money people were making, and they're like, I'm going to get my real estate license. And we went from, I don't even remember how many agents, I think it was 1 million to 1.6. So now there's 1.6 million licensed realtors. And I, from the beginning, told my agents, don't expect it to be like this forever. When I came in, I had to grind. You guys are coming in and just being handed leads left and right. That's not the way this works. It's for now. So build your business so that when this changes, you'll survive. And it changed. Around August of 2022, rates started to go up, business started to slow down. And my agent's like, oh, yeah, you've been telling us. Because on every training, I'm like, remember, do this. Because it's easy now, but it's not always going to be easy. And they were prepared for it. They were ready. Did their numbers come down a little bit? Yes, because 2023 was really, really hard to sell real estate in general. But they were able to stay afloat. They were able to run their businesses successfully because they were prepared for it. And I was prepared for it. I knew it was coming, right?
It's great that I feel like a lot of people didn't foresee that in the real estate industry. They're spending, or they're acting like this was going to be forever, and they didn't see that mindset or relay it to their team and have them understand. Yeah,
and that's why I haven't had anyone quit, because I always knew it was going to go back to the norm. Now, is it at the norm yet? No. The norm to me was 5.5%, right? Like pre-2020. Rates were 5.5% for almost 10 years, since the 2008 housing crisis. Rates really didn't change much.
So at least affordability being somewhat normal, where it makes sense to buy instead of rent, or even that, who cares what rates are, as long as it makes sense. This makes...
Well, I saw this thing. It was, in 2019, the average house in America was $275,000, and the average person making $58,000 a year could afford that house. Today, the average house is $400,000, and you need to make $106,000 a year. So, like, as an average family in America, you need to make $106,000 a year to buy the average home in America, which is wild, right? That's a lot of money. It's super expensive, and it's almost unaffordable for most people, right? And it's not getting any easier. They haven't been able to drop the rates because they can't control inflation. That's their only tool to control it. So things are still very iffy. Now, are people still buying houses? Absolutely. We still have plenty of home buyers. And are home sellers still getting multiple offers? Sure. Yeah. This is an inventory problem. If we're in such a condensed area, even here in Chester County, it's getting more condensed, that the amount of people that want to live here, or the amount of people that are growing up here that are getting into the home buying market, doesn't match the inventory, doesn't match the amount of houses that are being built, doesn't match the amount of people that need to sell houses. And if you had a house during the low rates, you're refinanced. Or if you bought a house during the low rates, you're refinanced. Or you got a low rate. Why would you ever sell that? If you have a 2.5% interest rate, or a 3.5%, or anything under 5%, why are you selling it? You're not selling it anytime soon.
Wouldn't make sense to really anybody. Even we're talking to a lot of our clients, I'm sure you're talking to them too, about just renting out the house and taking the equity out, moving on to the next one too. They can do it.
Yeah, so to get back to the NAR thing, there's 1.6 million realtors. And last year, 800,000 of them sold one or less house. Right? So, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's
now,
a huge problem.
I don't think the NAR thing was specifically supposed to affect that, but it's going to. And do I think that's a bad thing? No. I mean, that's the industry's going to contract a bit. I think we're going to see at least a 30% reduction in agents. And if half of them aren't doing anything anyway, then fine. Why is that a problem? And 23 of the 52 states or whatever have the correct paperwork. Pennsylvania is one of them. Our paperwork's correct. Our paperwork says what the NAR lawsuit wants it to say. It says, as a buyer, if the seller isn't offering a co-op commission, you are responsible to pay your agent. And it says on the listing contract that as a seller, this is what your broker is charging, and your broker is offering a co-op commission of this. You don't have to pay it, right? You never had to pay it. Now, have some people become loosey-goosey and just kind of skirt over that because they didn't want to think about it, they didn't want to talk about it? Then good, those people need to go away. You need to explain to people what they're signing. It's a contract, and it means a lot. It's a lot of money. So if you're not accurately describing your contract and you're really, really nervous about that, then go do something else. It's too much money to make that mistake. And our agents have been trained for that. We're prepared for it. So I don't think it's really going to affect us. I think the agents that are doing well and are true professionals and treat their clients with respect and understand their contracts are going to thrive during this. I think they're going to make more money because if 30% of the market goes away, but you still have just as many homes to sell, you make up market share. Yeah. And that's our push right now. We're not contracting. We are marketing more now. We are doing significantly more calls and significantly more to work with buyers and sellers. And I'm not afraid. Anything in the market that changes, there's going to be fallout for sure. I think the number one person affected by this are home buyers, right? And that's something that no one's talking about. Everyone's like, oh, my commission, my commission. What about the home buyers?
Yeah.
Like you're telling them, and you're not telling them this, but in a lot of cases, they're now going to have to pay a buyer's agent's commission, which they might not have to do before. So you're saying to the average person that now has to make $106,000 a year to afford a $400,000 house, that can just get enough to buy a home to begin with. Some of them needed even sellers assist to get to the table. Oh, you need more money now because the seller doesn't want to pay it, even though the seller paid it when they bought their house. And that seller is now going to have to pay an agent. So what are we really doing? We're just moving the money around, and we're making it harder for home buyers to buy homes. And that's a problem because home buying is one of the number one source of wealth Americans have. You know, it's the American dream. So if you're going to make that harder, you need to explain why you're doing it. And when 30% of the homes bought, single-family homes in America bought last year, were bought by institutional buyers, what are we really trying to do here? Now we're making it harder for regular home buyers to buy homes. You're going to give the institutions chances to buy more homes because they have less competition. We're creating a rental society, which nobody wants, right? It doesn't work, right? That's why America is so valuable. So the home buyers are the number one people affected. I think realtors will be fine. But, you know what you're doing, you'll be okay. Most of the industry will be fine. Yes, will companies that sell leads like Zillow and Realtor.com have to contract their staff? Yeah, I think they will.
Pivot into maybe they're going to now have a different part of their business or something. Maybe they do something to get more business in another way that they can figure out. But I agree that the agents that are on top of this, they know what they're doing, they know they have value, and they can show it. I mean, you're going to win, and if not win more. Yeah. And we had Quinn on before. He mentioned something funny. He said he can't wait till the market shifts to where the buyer's agents can really actually use it to their advantage at some point, which I didn't even come across my mind ever. Yeah. But I was like, wow, that would be powerful if the market ever did. I mean, we'd have to add a lot of homes and see things, but you never know.
That's going to happen. Like if you're set, it's not going to happen overnight, right? The only real rule changing, at least as far as I'm aware of in PA, the biggest rule that I've seen changing is that the MLS is no longer going to be able to advertise a co-op agent commission, which is fine. It's a phone call to the listing agent, right? Hey, are you offering one? Yes or no? All right, no big deal. And I think most sellers still will, because if their agent's good enough, they will explain to them why it's important. Now, if you're a listing agent, I'm excited because I'm going to sit with my sellers and say, hey, there's 10 homes in your neighborhood and 4 of them or 6 of them aren't offering commission. Why don't you offer a slightly higher commission and let's get your house sold really, really quick? Like that, being able to have those conversations and understanding just the math behind it is going to be super important. And again, if you're a good agent, you're going to be able to have those conversations.
That's a genius. First of all, I just want to say that is like the best thing out of all the stuff I've heard with all this. That's the number one example and way of looking at it. That which is going to crush, and why you guys are just going to destroy the competition in the market if it does come to that. Yeah. That's adding value and just showing and just winning. Yeah.
And I want to be clear. I don't want to see. I love seeing agents succeed. I think there's more than enough houses for all of us to eat. There's so many houses. There's no way. And so I'm happy when agents do well. Please keep doing well. Take these tips and change your business. But, let's face it, not everything is for everyone. And if we could have less people in the industry that don't know how to handle these problems, it'll make life better. It'll make the industry stronger. And I'm looking forward to those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's well said. Like, I think you're definitely on top of it. You're ahead of the pack, and
I mean, and like anything with any lawsuit, who makes money? The lawyers, right? So
they made a lot of money.
It's
like
$600 million, and they're getting at least 40% of that. I think they're saying the average home seller that was part of this class action is going to make $150. So,
better than some other lawsuits, I guess, right? Where you make like 10 cents or something.
Yeah. So, good for the lawyers, right?
Yeah. Oh man, somebody won, right? All right. Well, coming off of real estate and that whole world, what do you? I know you have family and your dad, and I'm in that world and stuff now, which is amazing. How do you juggle life with you have 2 kids?
Yeah, two
now.
kids,
and juggling real estate and a team and just like all these avenues you have to go through. How do you? Is there a tip or something you can give us, or how do you do it?
No, there's no perfect solution, man. It's you can hire help. Yeah, you can time block. You can do all of it, but especially like when you have kids, there's no rhyme or reason. My 1-year-old can choose just not to sleep tonight, and that's gonna be life, right? And my 4-year-old could have night terrors or decide to be sick, and they're always sick. So I don't think I try to follow a daily schedule. I try to time block as much as possible, but it's impossible to be perfect. Just make sure you get to your most important things every day. And then as your level of business grows, shift your what you're focusing on. Lower level problems need to be handled by lower level. Like you need to hire someone to do that. Before I used to do all my own paperwork, then I hired an assistant to do all my own paperwork. Then I hired a listing coordinator to do all our listing stuff. It didn't make sense for me to be driving around all over the place while still trying to service my clients, while trying to invest in real estate. When I was investing in real estate originally, I would want to manage all my own properties. Now I'm buying properties that I get a property manager for. And I still only own properties in Pennsylvania, but I like to buy as far away from me as possible. So we're in the Philadelphia region. I am buying in Pittsburgh. Because guess what? I cannot go fix a problem. If there's a leaky toilet or something, I can't say, all right, I'll be there in a half hour. That completely takes that off my hands, right? And I can't do it. So I'm shifting pretty much everything over there for this reason. You need to hire help, and that's a reality. It's a scary reality when you own a business. But if your business is growing to the point where you can do that, that's champagne problems, right? Like, don't complain. Like, hire someone. Create a job for someone, and pay them and treat them well. And if they're important, pay them more. Like, and if they're really good at their job, keep them. That's hire fast, fire fast, hire slow. And I've learned that as well. There takes one bad apple to ruin the bunch, But if you get the right people, which we have now, like, take care of them, treat them well, and don't see everyone as like a dollar sign. Like, it's a relationship, and that could be way more than a dollar sign, And that's what we try to teach our agents.
That's powerful.
Powerful. Life. We do what we can with the kids. I don't get to do a whole lot in terms of travel, but we're actually taking them away this summer. But in terms of like family life, it's tough. It's never gonna be really easy. I'm a workaholic by nature, and my wife's a familyaholic.
That's a good opposites attract, and that's a good combo. You need some sort of help and balance that works.
Yeah, I wish it was better.
It seems like you guys are surviving.
I have to get better at it. I have to get better every day, but making it work. Yes.
Nice. What's what would be your best dad tip?
Best dad tip?
Yeah, if you had one.
Oh man, not to get, I guess, too personal, but I grew up in the Caribbean. It was very strict. Like, corporal punishment was legal. My teachers could beat me. I got beat a lot. I was a pretty hyperactive kid. I have ADHD. They don't recognize that in the Caribbean. The Caribbean, you're a good kid or you're a bad kid, right? And so I got beat a lot. And for me, it was always just don't do that. Just make life peaceful, calm, and fun for your kids, and that's what we try to do. You know, it's just give them a nice, peaceful, fun life. I don't mind spoiling them. My kids are under 5; they get whatever they want, you know, and that's okay. When they're over 5, things are going to change a bit. There's going to be more responsibility, and I don't know what's going to happen then. I can't tell people what to do with kids over 5 because I got a 4 and a 1-year-old.
We're not there yet, but
yeah, it's hard, and it's really, really challenging. And I just like with business, it's like remove your ego. You know, like they don't know anything. They're a thing that just came out into this world, and they don't know that they're being jerks, or you know they're stressing you out, or they don't know. They're just testing you, and
they're always watching. I've realized that they are watching every little movement, even when they're not listening. I know he's that listening. He can't even talk. I know he's listening.
Yeah,
I pick that up real quick because you say something and then he ends up doing it, and I'm like, I guess he was listening. Like, they're remarkable.
Yeah, just make it fun, man. Make it easy. Don't make them ever feel the pressure you're feeling. You know, and hopefully they grow up to be good. We'll see. Time will tell. You know.
Hopefully, right? Yeah.
That's all we can do. Right? Yeah.
I got one last question for you before we go into the lightning round.
Sure.
How old were you when you moved to?
I was 15.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
How was that transition? Like, did you want to move? Why'd you move? Mm-hmm. And would you? Do you go back, and do you ever see yourself living back there, mm-hmm. or is it like we're here now and this is where we're going to be for forever? And
yeah, you know, my mom remarried when I was a baby, essentially, and the guy she married had already had plans to move to America. His family here, he'd put in for his citizenship. So, you know, along the way, they just decided that's what we're going to do, you know. And is it easy to move to a new country in the middle of high school? No, it was not. It sucked.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
I really can't.
But luckily, you know, roll of dice. I mean, I moved to a pretty good high school. You know, I made some really good friends early on that are still my friends to this day, and that made life much easier.
That really does make a huge difference. Like, you don't have friends, and it's miserable at school, and you just moved here. I can't even. I feel bad for those people.
Yeah.
You sound like you got a little lucky on that end.
Yeah.
You're a likable guy, too.
I mean, it was just like I fell into a good situation. You know, now things weren't great when we moved here. You know, my mom got divorced again. I moved out right after I graduated high school. Like, things weren't always easy, but I know I wouldn't have the opportunity I have here where I grew up. And without knowing the right people, being in the right situations, being significantly more educated, like, I wouldn't have these opportunities. They're not available to me, and that's not a knock on Trinidad. I love the country. We used to go back every other year before we had kids. We haven't been back since 2018, but we're going back this summer with our kids, trying to get my one daughter a free seat. You know, she's not 2 yet, so I'm trying to get in right before that. But I love it. I love it there. It's great to visit. I have plenty of family that I love there.
That's awesome.
Even though my mom and dad haven't been together, my dad's like one of 18 or something. So
oh my gosh!
A big family there, and you know, my mom still has plenty of family there, and we've all kind of moved all over the world since, but we still stay very close. I still talk to my friends from high school, you know, through WhatsApp and Facebook, and I love it there. But no, I wouldn't move back. You know, I think I'm set. My close family's here. My kids are going to be here, and I don't ever see myself living anywhere else. Yeah.
Right on.
It's a crazy perspective of that change of life and scenery and country. I mean, that's
even
cool.
We were on the metric system, you know, like I moved here, and they're like, oh, you gotta take this test to get into high school.
Oh,
what's this now? You know,
boy,
I don't know how I passed. I mean, I guessed on most of those answers, so you know,
it all ended up working out.
Yeah,
I guess got you here.
Yeah. So,
but that's amazing. We got the lightning round real quick.
Yeah.
Get you some cool questions. So I'll start this one off.
Sounds good.
It's March Madness. We got the games going on. It's content madness is the whole thing. So did you fill out a bracket, and did you pick a winner?
No, I did not fill out a bracket. Mostly because I didn't have time, and all of my friends are not happy at me for joining any of their brackets. But look, man, like I said, there's only so much time in the day, and I catch all the headlines. I go back to I'm a workaholic, so I watch sports casually. I watch football heavily, but most sports casually because there's too much of it. I can't catch every basketball game. I usually wait until after March Madness to pretend like I've been watching NBA.
I think everyone's in that same boat with the NBA. Everyone's
I joke with my friends about that, but you play fantasy football and stuff, so I pay more attention to football than anything else. Sure. Love the Eagles, and I love sports. Just it's not a priority for me.
I hear you.
Fair enough.
There's only so much time in the day. You got business, kids. I realize it now. I'm like,
it's way down the
you got to pick one team. I did the same thing. Football.
Yeah.
That's really the focus, and then everyone else is just
it's
there. It's there.
I have friends that I have one buddy, I love him to death, but he's like 8 TV screens in his basement, and he lives down there, and that's his thing. But his life's different. He has a job that ends at 5, way more of a routine life.
Hands off too after.
And if I need to know something about something, I'll fill me on this real quick so I don't look like an idiot. He knows all that. That's great. But I wish I could. I don't know if I ever would. I think I'd always just gravitate towards work.
Fair enough. Yeah. Next question is, what is your go-to coffee order?
Coffee order?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys aren't gonna love me because I'm in a coffee shop, but I'm not. I'm not a coffee aficionado whatsoever. I've never been. I drink coffee. It just whatever is available. If I went up there, I'd look at that sign like an idiot. Okay. Can I have that thing? I don't. If we're in line at Starbucks, my wife has to order. I don't. So coffee isn't my go-to thing. Haven't ever really been my go-to thing yet, so sorry.
We haven't had many people have, there's only one person I think had a really go-to. I guess we're not a coffee crowd.
For sure.
Yeah. But this is a fun one. So what was your first job?
My first job, I was 13 years old in Trinidad, and one of my cousin's boyfriends, older cousin, her boyfriend owned a car detailing shop, and they would make the stickers that go on these cars. And back then was when the first Fast and Furious came out, so everyone thought their car needed a spoiler and every graphic in the world, and
spinners and stuff.
Yeah. And his business was booming, and I did a lot of that. So I messed up a lot of them, but because probably a bad idea to have a 13-year-old detail your car, but I did it, and it was fun. It was a good experience. I learned a lot, and that was my first job.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Next one is, what is one fun fact about you?
One fun fact about me? Man, put me on the spot. I don't know if I have
We've got a lot out of you already.
I don't know if I have a fun fact. You become more boring as your life has to become more scheduled. I mean, outside of not being from here, I guess that's really it, man. I don't think there's much fun outside of that.
What's your favorite cuisine? I'm curious to see where you're coming from, Trinidad, and that experience in America now. And
so Trinidad's a pretty heavy mixture of Indian and African, because that's where kind of the slave colonies came from. So a lot of our food has that East Indian descent and African descent, and there's a lot of stuff I love from that. If we're talking about American, obviously I love Mexican food. Who doesn't?
I agree.
That's probably my go-to outside. Well, everything else clearly I eat, but not.
We're American now, right?
But I would say if you're telling me, hey, what are we ordering tonight? I'd probably gravitate towards Mexican.
I agree.
Yeah, we're all on the same page with that. I think.
Yeah. There's too much variety. It's great.
True.
Next one is, what is the first thing you do in the morning?
So I have I wouldn't say it's a morning routine, because that thing gets a little crazy. You hear all these guys you gotta cold plunge and meditate and do 45 minutes of poking nails into your leg or something. It gets crazy. You heard all that stuff. Mine is a lot more subtle. You know, I like to do luminosity to get my brain going a little bit, just because it helps with my memory and focus. So a couple minutes of that. You know, I have some other kind of brain training things I do just to get myself going in the morning. I'm not a workout in the morning guy. I'm a workout at night guy. So I don't enjoy getting up excited to work out. That's the last thing I want to do when I work out. I'd rather clear my inbox or something else, and then just gotta get myself prepared for the day. So when the kids are up, it's go time. But yeah, I do some kind of brain activities that get me going.
That's cool. I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's interesting.
Everyone's like, you gotta do all this stuff in the morning, and
no. Next thing you know, it's like 11 a.m.
No, I don't have enough time.
They clearly don't have families or anything either. And then our last question, and this was a fun one. We heard a lot of different. What would be a perfect day for you?
Perfect day for me would be getting up. Kids are happy. Getting my daughter to school. Getting into the office, either my home or my actual physical office. Making my calls, talking to my clients, working with my team. No massive burning fires to put out that day like I do most days.
True.
Everything goes smooth. Get home, have dinner with the family, put the kids to bed, go to the gym, go to sleep. Like that's a perfect work day. My dream day.
I guess that is a different.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, we didn't make that distinction. No one else kind of did that either.
My dream day, which I would like to get to at some point, is ideally being able to hammer out all of my business activities in the morning and then having the rest of the day for myself.
That'd be sweet. That. I think that's a lot of people's goals. Like
dream.
if you can do that, get up early, knock it all out, and just chill, relax the afternoon, do your workouts. Eat.
Yeah, spend time with the family, take the kids, and do anything out of the norm.
Activities,
especially in the winter. I hate getting home when it's dark. So if you do some stuff in the daylight with your kids or something, So that's where I'd like to get to at some point.
Hey, it's achievable, right? It's possible.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, amazing. Awesome. Thanks so much for hopping on here and taking the time. I know Matt and I really appreciate you coming out. And
thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we educate some people with this content.
I think
I'm
so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
We'll definitely put some stuff out there.
All right, thanks guys.
Yeah.
All right, man.